This episode is brought to you by the Ultimate Girls Trip. Here is our reoccurring daydream. Us at a drool-worthy pool, surrounded by our business besties. We just finished a powerful exercise on building our dream lives and executing our business goals. Join us if you are ready to be celebrated for taking up space, to feel purposeful, and to live a life of fulfillment. Go to proofitspossible.com for more info. Welcome to Proof It's Possible. Jamie and I are multifaceted entrepreneurs, the founders of the Ultimate Girls Trip, and the hosts of Proof It's Possible. Jamie and I are also sisters, best friends, and complete opposites, but somehow we always manage to stay on the same team. Join us every week to hear our thoughts on all things entrepreneurship, friendship, family, pop culture, and more.
Today, we are chatting about why we have deemed some emotions good and some emotions bad, and how even the bad emotions can sometimes be good emotions, and even good emotions can sometimes be bad emotions. So, for me, I am hot-tempered. So I'm quick to rage, especially when I feel like I've been taken advantage of or unfairly, treated. And that's often seen as a bad quality. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that it is always bad. Sometimes I think that not accepting the BS that someone is handing you is kind of a good thing. It is and it puts you into the ball into motion that you're not going to be treated that way. You're going to get the result that you actually wanted. In the first place, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you and I have opposite personalities, so I'm not quick to rage. I take in information. I watch the situation. And then once I'm mad, I'm really mad. I don't show it along the way. I have to almost know all the details. Whereas you're you hear one detail you don't like and you're like, absolutely not on my watch or whatever. And so I'm okay, let's see how this goes. And I think that in the world's eye, my way seems more professional, seems more appropriate. It works well in business. It works well with people, blah, blah, blah. However, the bad part is that I don't usually come back from once you get me mad, it takes a very long time. But once you're on the you did me dirty list, it's over. I don't come back from it. I'm not forgiving, whereas you're okay, people make mistakes and you go into it quick and you can come out of it quick. I don't come out of it. I'm you're on my list. And I have 2 people in my 41 years that are on the list. But once you're on the list, you
name them.
I don't know how you get off.
We need name them right here, right now. I'm just kidding.
Can't do that.
Don't actually do that.
But they know who they are. So if you're listening, double middle finger. I just want you to know. I'm still mad. So.
I have a couple people on my list that there is no forgiveness in my heart. Maybe it's because I'm still in the thick of it, but I'm telling you, I thought I saw them driving the other day and I almost double fingered them. If my kids weren't in the car, I would be you know what? You know who I hope doesn't have a good day today? You.
Exactly. But then that said, okay.
Instagram post saying so.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So this is the thing. I do think that there is a time and a place, and we've deemed happiness is a great emotion. Joy is a great emotion. Excitement is a great emotion. All these are, and it's because they feel good. But the ones that, I have a funny story. So I was speaking at an event about a month ago. And as we mentioned in one of our recent episodes about weird and wacky, I think it's last week, things we're both trying this thing called Happy Juice, which is amazing because what it does is it helps heal your gut health, and then it brings you happier endorphins like dopamine and serotonin and all the stuff, because a lot of your happiness is tied to the receptors in your gut. So I'm not an unhappy person by nature. I'm not an anxious person. I'm not a depressed person. I'm really naturally happy, which is something I'm super grateful for. But when I started taking this stuff, I was like, I'm not noticing a difference in my like happiness levels. I'm just noticing a difference in energy and hydration, all stuff I was really interested in, like, which was great. So I was happy with Happy Juice. But then I got asked to speak at this event, and I was going to the event alone. I did not know anybody at the event. I know the organizer, but obviously the organizer of any event is very, very busy. So they're not your friend that night, they're the organizer. Um, Gave zero shits. Zero shits. I didn't even practice anything that I was going to say. I didn't have, usually before an event, I have anxiety. I have like just low level anxiety that prompts me to practice my speech, read over what I would like to say, maybe even tailor it, take some time to tailor it to the audience and look into who's going to be listening so that the speech
Mm-hmm.
makes some sort of sense for this event. I had no anxiety to the point where I showed up alone, and like Darren dropped me off and he said, "Do you want me to come in with you?" And I'm like, "Nope, I'm fine." And he's like, "Are you sure? Like, you don't know anyone?" And I'm like, "It's all right. I'll be fine." Like, I didn't care. And looking back on it, it all turned out great. It was fine. I like to socialize. It wasn't a big deal. But I needed the anxiety. I needed the little bit of nervous energy that I usually deem as negative in
Mm-hmm.
order to get me ready for the event, to get me in the right headspace, to help me prepare, to give me that little buzz that is what I get from public speaking and why I usually do a good job of it because I prepare for it. So anyways, I learned the lesson in why anxiety was actually a good thing. And I'd never once thought my anxiety could serve me in a good way. And this was a total shock to me. Like, I was shocked by it.
I think that for me, my anxiety can either be debilitating or it can be a
Yeah,
great motivator. Like it
totally.
can be a really good motivator. The stress of like whatever it is that I'm worried about is a great motivator for all things. Like I remember years ago when I was like, "Oh my god, my business is not doing well." And like I had so much anxiety. It was and I immediately like got on LinkedIn and I freshened up my resume and I like just I reached out to some past clients and was like, "Hey, do you guys need an audit?" And it's just a great motivator. So if I didn't have that anxiety and I was like, "Yeah, the universe has got my back, it'll take care of me," I'm
Oh no.
sure that things wouldn't have gone well.
I'd be reading a book in my bed right now with the heating blanket on. Like, I wouldn't feel that drive to do any of the things I do, you know?
Totally, totally.
Yeah.
So I think that it can be like a good thing. And for me, like even writing our book, I the like nervousness of like the deadline approaching and me not being
Hmm.
done forced me to sit down every single day and be like, okay, if you only do one thing, get that off to the editor. If you only do one thing, approve that cover design. If you only do one
Yeah.
thing today, do this. It was a really good motivator for me.
Oh, for sure. And like the thing for me is that when I get home from like a holiday or something, I always feel like I have a mountain of work to do because I've like
Mhm.
maybe checked in on my business and low level responded to all emails required, but that's it. I have a lot of work to catch up on. And that anxious, uncomfortable energy is what pushes me to my desk and says, "Get it done. Like, you got to party, you got to have the fun, you got to go on the holiday.
Mhm.
Now it's time to catch up." And you're going to feel yucky for 3 or 4 days until you've answered all the emails, till you've caught up on the work, till you've done the things. But it's good. It is a good thing. And like, I think that if we start reframing our anxiety when it can be used for good and start calling it like our motivator, our maybe it won't feel as bad, like because I've been almost studying myself ever since this event. And I'm like, yeah, I actually need a little bit of stress sometimes because stress is what catapults me. And knowing that I'm doing scary things, like we have our girls' trip happening. It's our first one. And the stress of not doing it before, and this is being the first one, is what's got me working hard at it. It's got me preparing for it. It's got me
Mhm.
excited about it. These are all good emotions for good, going towards good things in my life. And now I realize we're all stress is not good. Sometimes stress just like you said, your anxiety can debilitate you. And like there's days where I'm so stressed that I'm like, okay, I think I'll paint my nails today. And I'm like, that was a weird day because I did nothing and I did all avoidance tactics, but not very often. For the most part, my stress is relieved by getting ahead of whatever is stressing me out. That's
Do the
how I
damn
manage
thing.
it.
Like when I feel stressed and I'm like debilitated by it, I'm like, do one thing in the right direction. Just do one thing
Absolutely.
today. Yeah.
Action,
Right.
action, action. Take
Action,
action.
action, action. Yes.
Yeah.
And then I also think that happiness can be a bit of a bad thing. This, and I don't mean like happiness is bad because I don't agree with that. But I do think that like you almost have to feel, I know it's so cliche, but you have to feel the low lows to feel the high highs. If you're
For
always
sure.
just maintaining this like normal level of happy and you never have any, traumatic life events, really stressful moments in your life, really bad things happen to you, then you also don't get to experience the high highs of coming out of that and feeling like
Oh, for sure.
really good. And I also feel like the more you do something, the less um, like it almost you get desensitized to it. So for instance, if you're always going on a beach vacation, like you do it
Yep,
once a month, it's no longer this like special thing. If you only get to do it once every 5 years, damn right you're gonna enjoy that beach vacation. If you do it every single month, you're like, yeah, it's another one. Ugh, I have to pack and I
for
have to do
sure.
this, I have to do that. So I feel like happiness is a bit the same. If like you have all this happiness all the time, then you kind of are
Mhm.
desensitized to it and you don't even recognize it as happiness anymore because it's now become your normal.
For
And
sure.
then
Well, and like to give you an example of happiness overload and like being a non-motivator is that like when I first met Darren, it was very fairy tale like he invited me to go to Hawaii and do all these things. And what I cared about then was doing fun stuff with Darren. Like my career, I don't even know if was working because I'm like that just needs to fit into all the fun things that Darren has planned for us and this is what I care about right now. So I wasn't the most motivated person at the beginning of our relationship for a minute there because I was happy. I was doing something else fun and happy, and that felt
Mhm.
way better than any work could ever feel. And like truthfully now, I'm really grateful that I took like slightly smaller workload and like enjoyed that time because it doesn't last forever. Like a new relationship is fun and exciting. So I'm
Mhm.
glad that I took the time to like soak it all in and do all the fun stuff. While obviously keeping my business on track enough to carry on. Like I didn't totally
Still
vacate
me
it,
here
but
talking about a
yeah,
business.
exactly. But, I certainly didn't have a lot of anxieties then. I was definitely just kind of like, okay, get the thing done. And then I'm going on a date tonight. Then get the thing done and we're going on a trip or we're going away for the
Mhm.
weekend or we're going
Mhm.
out with friends. And they were all new friends to me. So it was fun. And all these fun new things weren't, my mind was not in it. My mind was somewhere fun
The other thing
and
I
happy.
think about happiness, and maybe this is like more related to comfort, but I think that it can keep you from the fear of getting unhappy or uncomfortable can keep you from asking the right questions. It can keep you from ending friendships, relationships,
Hmm.
jobs. Like it the fear of like for instance, like Ray always likes to keep it light and airy and positive and fun, and that's like his disposition. But I think there's been times when I'm like, you've valued keeping it light and airy and fun
Hmm.
over asking the really tough questions that needed to be asked and
For
holding
sure.
people accountable because he
Hmm.
just loves that like lightness in a room, like
For
which is
sure.
great.
Conflict
Which is a
sucks.
great quality, but I'm
Yeah.
like, then I have to come in like the heavy and be like, no, this is
Yeah.
not going to work. Actually, where is this and where is that? And
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I
Well,
think that
it's kind of like I don't know the exact same, but it's like good is the like nemesis to great, basically. Like just when everything's good, you just coast. There's a comfort level there. You
mm,
just stay. It could be worse, but it could be better. But you're good to just not find out about the worst. But also that comes at the cost of finding out if it could be better. You know,
mhm,
there's
mhm,
discomfort in being great. There's discomfort in rising, and that's the part that I get it. I mean, there's like areas in my life that I'm like, no, I like good. Good's good. Like, I don't want to do 350 sit-ups a day. I'm good here. Like,
same, same.
I got to roll. Everyone knows it. It's fine. Like it's just one of those things that you, in some areas of your life, you're choosing good, and on some other areas of your life, you're choosing great. And
Mm-hmm.
that's and then maybe next year I'll be like, oh no, I'm going to be great in this other area too. Um, and we've talked about this a long time ago in a podcast, but how you do everything is how you do something is how you do everything. And I agree with that to a point, but I think we almost have like thresholds. Like you were saying, like, nope, my house isn't clean. I don't have the six pack. I don't, but I want to do great at my business, or I do great at my business, or I do great at being a mom, or whatever it is. And you're
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm dropping balls. Whatever. But I also think that like you do everything very well, even though you don't feel like you're doing it perfect. So you're not saying, oh, I'm a great business person, I'm a
I would
great
say
mom,
I've changed my
everything.
view on this topic actually. I feel like
Oh,
it's
okay.
a range. So like
I think it's a
you
range too.
always stay within your own range. And
Same. There's
sometimes
threshold.
yes, your threshold. Sometimes you're way closer to the like perf- great range, and
Yeah.
sometimes you're closer to your like good range. But your range is your range, and somebody else's range may be way
Yeah.
lower than yours, but that's their
Yes.
range, and they stay within their range. And I fully believe that like I've changed my views on all of this over the
Yeah.
last little
I'm
while.
proud of
Because
you.
I think that I've encountered some people where I'm like, a cheetah never changes their spots, or tiger never changes their stripes. Like, you are who you are. You've been telling us all along. And this
Yeah.
isn't just one little aspect of your life. This is exactly who you are.
Yeah.
And you
For
might do
sure.
better in some areas of your life, and you might do a
For
little
sure.
bit worse in other areas of your life, but that's who you are. This is your range, and that's you.
Yeah. Well, and
So,
like to use a dumb example, it's like if you're somebody that loves to go to bed like me with a clean house, like that's one of my like joys in life is waking up to a clean home because I work from my home. I spend my days in my home. It is like the place that I value. It's my environment, and I know it's really important to my mental health. I so it brings me joy. Like that is a good emotion for me that I am interested in feeling. So I clean up the house as best I can, kind of after dinner, and then do a like once over before go to bed, just so that I can like, whether it's picking up the clothes off the laundry room floor and putting them to a basket or starting a load of laundry, whatever. And then someone else's range is that they clean their house twice a year, if it needs it
totally.
or not.
Yeah.
And that's like, and that to me is insanity, but to them it makes perfect sense. And it's how they do their life because that's their range. It's within
Yeah.
their comfortable range.
Yeah.
And so I just don't, I just think that that would give me a heart attack, and that
Same.
would be too chaotic, and that wouldn't feel right. So my like emotions around that would be me imploding. Like I'd be just a mess because my environment matters. Like
Oh,
I need to
same.
clean up. I need
Mhm.
to see order somewhere. And maybe it's like perfectionism, maybe it's whatever, but I love it. So
No, I feel like, and this is just me, but I feel like my exterior reflects my interior. So if my
same.
exterior is chaotic, then my insides feel chaotic.
Yeah,
And I'll notice that if I feel chaotic in my mind, my house will start to look chaotic. Like,
absolutely.
there's a stack of mail that I'm like, why haven't you put this away? Like, it's not adding any value. It's actually creating more chaos inside. So I 100%.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I think that all emotions, we need to start looking at them differently and stop being like stress is bad. Anxiety is always bad. Because if we rephrase what they are and what they mean to us, we could start embracing them and using them for our own good. But because we've always been told, like, you got to keep your stress levels down. It's, bad for your health. It's bad for your life. Anxiety is terrible for you. It, increases your heart rate, it increases your whatever, and like all the negative things that you don't want. But what if it actually is helpful in motivating us? And we reframed it like that, and we knew that we had a toolbox full of tools that were going to help us get through stressful situations. Wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
that be amazing?
It would be amazing.
Yeah.
I feel
So
like all emotions are neither good nor bad unless we make
mhm,
them good or bad.
I
We
agree.
need to
I
stop
totally agree.
making the good ones so good and the bad ones so bad and just accept that we're going to feel the whole range of emotions
Yes.
and we're going to go through them all and we just have to work through every single one of them.
Exactly. Well, it's the same as when people say like, "Oh, that person um struggles with their mental health." And I'm like, I agree. There's different thresholds and varying degrees of how much someone will struggle with their mental health, but we all struggle with our mental health at some point. That is, it's like saying you're never going to not be,
You're never going to
you'll
feel
never break your
physical.
arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll never feel physical pain. You'll never fall off your bike and hurt yourself. You'll never have cancer. You'll never have anything physically the matter, because our physical health is the same as our mental health. They're just two different areas, and we all have to manage both. Make life
For sure.
decisions and use that
Yes.
toolkit. So we would love to hear the ways that you guys are basically have negatively considered emotions, or the amazing ways that you've reframed and been able to use your what in our society is considered negative emotions for good in your life. We'd love to hear all the areas that you've figured out how to redirect your thoughts and your mindset around it.
And just as a reminder, don't forget to, when you listen to this episode, don't forget to leave us a review. We would be forever grateful.
Yeah.
And if you need instructions on that, Dale is happy to help you.
Of course. Bye, guys. Have a great week.
Bye.
We are so grateful you're here.
It would mean the world to us if you'll subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel and leave us a review.
If you want to hear more from us, go to proofitspossible.com to join our mailing list and find our social links so you don't miss a thing.
Thanks, and chat next time.